Hi, I'm Andrea. Welcome to my automated trading channel. Here you'll discover strategies and tools to trade in a simple and smart way. If you like what I do, subscribe and leave a like to stay always up to date.
In this video, I'll talk to you about my trading experience over the past years. I started trading several years ago, around 2011, and at that time I was mainly trading stocks, so I was working in the stock market. And like everyone else at the beginning, I was inexperienced. I had no knowledge at all. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And so in the first few months, I lost about 50% of my capital. But from there, I didn't get discouraged and I decided to start studying, to look for information, to try to understand why, how trading should be done the right way, because I had started almost just like that as an adventure, just to give it a try. And by studying hard, searching for information online, reading forums back then, a bit here and a bit there, I more or less figured out how it worked and I started to recover my losses up to a certain point where I managed to get my account back to even. So I was back in the game, so to speak. From that moment on, with what I had evened out, more than a year had gone by. Anyway, I started over and finally began to make a profit. Also because the markets were in a favorable period, trading stocks. The basic setup was always bullish. I was going with the trends. And so I managed to make some good profits, though always with a discretionary trading style, because I was doing it partly based on what I had learned, but also based on my own feelings, on the general sentiment of investors. I tried to understand that. So it was a very particular thing. It wasn't a trading style that could be replicated. It was trading done by me based on my feelings, my signals, on what I sensed might happen in the market, and often things went well. So I managed to keep going, to earn until I reached a point where I had about 6 times the initial capital I started with. So I had achieved excellent results. But when everything is going well, at some point, something always happens that destabilizes the system, right? And the same thing happened in my case. In fact, at a certain point, suddenly I was always trading without a stop loss because I had started doing it that way without any trading knowledge, and it had always worked out for me. So I just kept doing it. Unfortunately, at a certain point, I suffered a significant loss again. Despite everything, well, I was still up by a lot. So even though the loss was about 20%, it was still a manageable loss. However, since the account had grown large, in terms of money, it was a significant loss, When so I decided at that moment, it really threw me off. And after several years, I stopped and said to myself, no, I can't go on like this because if I have several losses like that, I'll burn through everything. I stopped for a while and didn't do any more trading. Let's say I made some investments in stocks, but I didn't do any more trading. So how did my experience in trading continue? After those first 3 or 4 years in which I traded stocks and also indices, because at a certain point I wasn't just using stocks anymore, but I was trading indices with leveraged instruments. So you could earn much more, but you could also lose much more. I paused for a moment and focused on other things. I started making real estate investments, doing other things, and I put trading aside for a while, up until a certain point when by chance I ended up in a trading course. Basically, with some people who were selling courses, I thought, wow, if I was already good at trading on my own, imagine how good I'll become if I take a course. So I decided to go down this path. I started with Forex, which I knew absolutely nothing about. I had never traded Forex before. So I took this course where they taught me a strategy that it's not that it didn't work, but it was very complicated and required a certain approach. And in any case, it was a discretionary approach. So maybe I would interpret it one way, someone else would interpret it differently that day. And in the end, everyone just did things according to how they felt, right? Once again, I found myself in the same situation as when I first started trading on my own. And here too, sometimes I had excellent results, sometimes just average, sometimes I lost. Basically, I couldn't really make a breakthrough. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I wasn't losing much either. I was just stuck in this sideways pattern, and it took a lot of effort because I was spending a ton of time looking at charts every day. Sometimes I would spend 8 hours a day at the charts, and by the evening, I hadn't even made any money. On top of that, I was stressed out because I was making a lot of trades. Sometimes I found myself doing 10 or 20 trades a day. So it was also stressful because when things went badly, like if you made 20 wrong trades, emotionally, it's not easy to handle. So I got to a point where I said, okay, that's enough. I'm done. I'm not going to continue trading Forex anymore. And then let's say I finished this course, I was a bit down and I almost wanted to give up on everything. By chance, I started talking to a guy who had also taken this course with me and who worked in programming. And he told me, look, you can actually program experts, expert advisors. So programs that do the trading for you. You tell them what they need to do and they do what you would do yourself. When he told me this, it was like a revelation for me. I thought to myself, how great, finally, I don't have to sit at the computer. I can do whatever I want. I don't have to stare at the charts. I don't get stressed. The program does everything. It's wonderful. And so I started trying to automate the strategies I had learned over the years and also during these courses. And the result was obviously a disaster because a discretionary strategy, once you automate it, is no longer discretionary. So these strategies don't work well. I mean, they work well if you do them manually, but then when you program them, put them into an expert advisor, they don't give great results. But I didn't get discouraged. I said, okay, it was just something. Besides, programming was something I really enjoyed. So I said, let's keep going and see, let's try out this field of automated trading. And from there, I started looking for information, doing my research, watching videos on YouTube, basically gathering information from everywhere and little by little banging my head against the wall for a long time, making lots of attempts that often didn't work out. The experts weren't making money, they were losing. I had to learn how to do a back test, how to actually program in the MQL5 language because I used to program in other languages. Let's say I managed to come up with a few programs, a few systems that started to make a profit. And I thought, wow, that's great. Let's give it a try. I tried, ran into the first difficulties, put it on a real account, did the test in demo. I wasn't really sure how to go about back testing, whether the results were good, if there was overfitting, if I had a stable system. And so little by little, I had some small losses at the beginning on the real account because once again, I was inexperienced and doing something new. But despite everything, today, after a year and a half, I have several systems, more than 20, that all in all working together are profitable. And so I'm making money in trading. Finally, in Forex, after almost 2 years in which I could only study and lose, I've arrived at something that works and makes a profit. Clearly, we're talking about reasonable profits. If you think you can do trading and double your entire account in a month, well, that's no longer trading, it's gambling. You're not trading. Sometimes I might make 10% in a month, 20%. Then there are months where you end up losing and lose 5, 10, even 15% of your account. It's all clearly it's all proportional to the risk you're willing to take. The more you risk, the more you can earn. But on the other hand, you can also lose more. I decided to open this channel to let you know periodically how my journey in Forex is going. So whether I'm making money or losing, and then little by little, I'll show you which expert advisors I use, what logic they have, how they work, and I'll also teach you how to program expert advisors in MQL5. So for MetaTrader 5, starting from the very basics so that anyone who wants to can get started and do what I'm doing too, which is automated trading. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this first video about my trading journey and leave a like and subscribe to the channel.